Welcome in and join me courtside as we talk your Miami Heat. Welcome on into another edition of Miami Heat Basketball Beat. I'm your host, Michael Furley. And as always, I'd like to thank you all so very much for joining me today. We are coming to you moments after the Miami Heat game on January 4th. That's Sunday, where the New Orleans Pelicans were taking on your Miami Heat. Pelicans coming in at 8-28, while your Miami Heat is 19-16 coming into this game and 7th in the East. We had a couple players out today. Jaime Jaquez, who twisted his ankle last game, did not play today. Tyler Hero kind of returned. He was dressed, however, inactive and was not going to play today, but he was on the sideline and in uniform. But we did have a player back. One of my favorite players, Pelle Larsson, was back on the court tonight, and boy, was his presence felt. But let's check in on the final score of this battle as we had your Miami Heat taking this one down 125-106. And this game got off to a fast start in the first quarter. We had two quick three-pointers by Davion Mitchell. Our first six shots made were all three-pointers, 3 from Mitchell, 3 from Powell. Powell ended up starting off 4 for 4 from downtown in that first quarter. And at the end of the first quarter, the score was 39 for New Orleans, 43 for Miami. So no defense on either side of the ball here, but a high-scoring first half for your Miami Heat at 43 points. Starting off with Norm Powell had 15 points. Jovic actually came off with a bit of a head of steam here. He had 13 points in the first quarter, his highest scoring. I don't know if it was the highest scoring first quarter or highest scoring quarter, but nonetheless, it was an accolade for Jovic in most points in a short amount of time here. He did so by diving to the basket, catching on drives, and made his first 2 3-pointers as well. So Davion Mitchell finished that first quarter with 9 points as he made 3 of his first 3 3-pointers. Adebayo struggled in this up and down affair, getting 0 points in the first quarter here. Now, moving along to the second quarter here, I'm going to do something I haven't done too much in the past here. We're going to try a highlight package, but we're going to put it all together since I'm not very familiar with how to do this here. So I just want to mention a play here that caught my attention, and we will come back to it after we break down the rest of the game here. In the second quarter, at about 7 minutes or so, I think it was 7:26 in the game, there was a fast break where Kel'El outran everyone. We mentioned this in the last game where he's getting down to the front of the cup before the defense can set up, and our offensive players are not looking for him. It's the one skill set he has. Kel'El is not a perfect player, but he does sprint to the front of the rim, and the thing we all complain about Ware is sometimes his motor isn't high, but when this guy sprints past the defense to the front of the cup, you got to reward him, so he keeps on doing it, and you could tell he was getting frustrated after they did not get hit as he got ahead of the pack on a couple of fast breaks, and then he would just jack up a three-pointer when he did touch the ball because he's like, well, I'm not going to touch it inside, I'm just going to walk outside and take a three-pointer. And although he is a good three-point shooter, we want him to get in those dunks inside before he opens up his full bag here. All right, so at the end of the first half, New Orleans had 62 points to your Miami's 70 points. So Miami outscored them once again in the second quarter, 27-23. So both quarters, they outscored them by 4 points to take an 8-point lead into the halftime break. And our numbers at the halftime here was Powell was at 20 points. He was 5 of 6 for three-pointers going into the intermission here as a +9. Jovic, who had his highest scoring quarter at 13 points, only added 2 more points in the second quarter, finishing 6 for 10 field goals through the first half. And Mitchell did not score again after making his first 3 shots of the game. Pelle Larsson came in and contributed 6 points. Took a lot of shots, but most of those were like in traffic type of shots here where he went 3 for 9, but some of those were with offensive rebounds and putbacks and stuff like that. But he had 3 steals in the first half. And Kel'El only had 5 points on 2 of 8 shooting, where I think he missed 3 3-pointers. He did have 4 rebounds, and Adebayo finished the first half with 4 points, 2 of 5 shooting, and only had 1 rebound at the break. But we mentioned it here. We've got the third quarter comes out here, and your Miami Heat have been doing a much better job. Even yesterday, their best quarter was the third quarter, despite the loss to Minnesota here. And there was a couple plays that caught my attention at about 6:35 or so. Bam got a steal. He was not scoring, but he was getting more involved in this third quarter with some deflections, tip-aways, starting to get some rebounds and running the floor, which helped the team overall, even though he wasn't getting the points. But he got a steal, pitched it ahead to Norm Powell, who dribbled most of the way down by himself and did a skip to my Lou, behind the back crossover to a snap back dribble to a pull-up three-pointer in traffic, nailing a big three-pointer to extend the lead there. That was one of the big plays that kind of turned the tide here and got the Heat rolling. The Heat went on a 21-2 run from the 10-minute mark in the third quarter down to the 2:40. There was also Pelle Larsson went to the locker room at 2:10, and I was a little nervous. I didn't see anything in particular, but when he got subbed out in his normal rotation, went right back to the locker room. He would return later in the fourth quarter. So at the end of the third quarter, where the Heat went on a big-time run here, they outscored the New Orleans Pelicans 23-15. It was not a high-scoring game, as that 21-2-point run was about 7 minutes of time, but the Heat didn't score very much on either side of that. But their defense held up as New Orleans started just jacking up three-pointers and missing like crazy. And after three quarters, the margin, your Heat were up 93-77. And at this point, we had Norm Powell up to 29 points on 8 of 10 for three-pointers, got to a plus 21 by that point. Jovic was a plus 14, but again, we mentioned he started off hot, was 6 for 10 at halftime. Now he's 6 for 13. He's missing every shot he's taken after that hot start. Still has 15 points. Mitchell still has 9 points off of his first three-pointers he made in the first couple minutes. Pelle Larsson was up to 10 points on 5 of 12 shooting. Just relentless getting to the basket. And Ware didn't add anything in the third quarter at all. He was not part of that big run, but Adebayo finally got to get a little bit going here. Got up to 10 points, still shooting poorly at 4 for 12, but he finally got some more rebounds at 4 rebounds through three quarters. But a much better activity, even though he wasn't the main scorer. He was in the middle of a lot of that big 21-2 point run for your Heat, especially getting long rebounds and tip outs on as the New Orleans Pelicans were starting to jack up some bad three-pointers, and then we turned those into transition three-pointers and quick scores for your Miami Heat. Now, going into the fourth quarter here, they came out a little lackadaisical here. Let's see, what did I say? They were up by 16, I believe. They were up by 16 going into the fourth quarter. And they were kind of trading baskets a little bit, but after a little bit of a mini 6-0 run by the Pelicans, got it down to 99-86, cut it down to 13 points with 8 minutes and 50 seconds left. That's when Spo called a timeout, put in 3 subs. He put back Pelle, Larsson, Kel'El, Ware, and Davion Mitchell, and subbed out Yakachonis, Gardner, and Drew Smith. That is a lot of inexperience in at one time with Yakachonis, Gardner, and Drew Smith. A note here, while we're here, Myron Gardner got the minutes today over Fontecchio. So he was the third guy off the bench here with Drew Smith, who once again is starting to struggle. Still doing what he does in terms of causing havoc on defense, poking the ball away, diving on the ball. But offensively, he was really struggling today, getting hung up on his drives. But Pelle Larsson, like we mentioned before, would return in the fourth quarter. And that's when the Heat laid it back on again to extend the lead once again. And this is where we had a couple other of those highlight plays that I want to get to a little bit later. We had Pelle Larsson hit Ware on a hit-ahead pass. Thank goodness. You had Ware run ahead of the pack with only the guard back on defense. Even though he was covered, he's got a 1.5 foot advantage over Alvarado. And Pelle Ware noticed it, just lobbed it up to the rim. A little bit of a goofy finish, but nonetheless, he threw it up to the big man who was ahead of the field here. You've got to reward the big man when he runs. And then Pelle Larsson made a very nice step-back three-pointer at the end of a shot clock at about 5.51. I wish I put that in the highlight package. I did not. And this is where I realized I love Pelle Larsson so much. He reminds me of Goran Dragic just in his tenacity of putting his face into the basket, going into the crowd no matter how big the opponents are. But he's also one of our most aware passes, especially when it comes to Kel'El Ware, which I love that because Kel'El Ware is good. He's got a limited skill set, but if you take advantage of his skill set, can be a dominant player in that. And Larsson has no fear taking shots at end of shot clock when needed and making them as well. Coming out of another timeout with about 3:11 left, as again, this game was kind of going back and forth, staying in that 16-point range. Bam Adebayo was covered by Trey Murphy. They threw it into him, and he just backed him down 3 dribbles, but into Trey Murphy there. Got to about 5 feet in front of the basket, did a little turn around right-handed hook. That's what I'm talking about, guys. He has to recognize who's on him and what part of his game he can use when those situations arise. He did just that today. Again, not a very effective day overall, but he was much better in when making decisions today. Even though his shot wasn't there, that he broke up a lot of plays in the third quarter, and that was a small but big score just in terms of recognizing what type of advantages you do have. Went right in. It looked so easy. He just 3-dribbled, backed him down, turnover, little 6-foot hook shot right in the basket. And then with 2:34, another pass from Pelle Larsson to Ware for a dunk as he split the defense and did a little pocket pass into Kel'El Ware. So Kel'El Ware only had, 4 points coming out of the third quarter, and he finished with 16 points. He had 12 points, and most of those were on dishes from Pelle Larsson, who has the best awareness, in my opinion, there after Jaquez there. So at the end of the fourth quarter, the final score was 125 to 106, like you see up here on our scoreboard. Let's see. Powell finished with 34 points, making career-high 9 3-pointers on only 12 attempts. Finished with a plus 23. Jovic, 19 points. Again, he had 13 points in the first quarter, was shooting 6 of 10 at halftime, finished 7 of 16. Did have 3 steals as he was on the up and down game, was deflecting. This is actually one of his better games, but he still made a lot of the same mistakes. Late passes to guys who were open. Really ugly 3-pointers. When he misses bad, and he misses a lot in a row. I didn't write down. I think he was 2 for 8 from 3, but he missed his last 6 3-pointers as he started off 2 for 2. I'll take it. In terms of Jovic, I have very low expectations for this particular player. And honestly, he maximized what I expect from him. I just wish he would stop jacking up some 3-pointers when he's way off. Nonetheless, he had a good game as we needed him with Jovic out, as they didn't put the ball in Wiggins' hands today. He barely touched the ball, got a few baskets mixed in the fourth quarter and the first quarter, but essentially Wiggins was just floating around out there, just kind of a part of the puzzle, not a big-time cog in the wheel. Davion Mitchell, this was crazy. Started off with those first 3 3-pointers in the first 4 minutes of the game. Just finished with the 9 points, but he was a team-high plus 29 as he was in the middle of the action on all the biggest runs for your Miami Heat against the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelle Larsson, like I said, I love this man. Started out not shooting well, but finished with 16 points on 7 of 15 shooting. I think at one point I said he was 3 for 9. Finished 7 for 15, 6 assists. He was the high man in assists today, I think, or either tied for first, or he was either second or first, or tied for first. But top 2 in assists. Finished with 3 steals. Was a plus 23. We need him so much, especially with Jaquez out. He's just someone who gets to the basket. He doesn't always do it on the dribble. He'll do it on the back cut as well, but he's relentless pressure downhill towards the rim, and we need that in this type of team here. Like I said, Ware finished strong in that fourth quarter with Larsson, finishing with 16 points on 7 of 13 shooting here, as he was 2 for 8 at one point. So he finished off really high there at 5 for his last 5, I guess. Yeah. And 12 rebounds. He led the team in rebounds. And Adebayo fought through it. Didn't play well overall, but I appreciate how he didn't hang his head, and he kept contributing in other ways. Finished 12 points, once again shooting 38% on 5 of 14 from the field. Did make a 3-pointer, had only 6 rebounds, but he was a plus 23 as well. All right, guys, my final thoughts on this one. That's our final results here. The New Orleans Pelicans fall to 8-29. Your Miami Heat improved to 20-16. A good rebound win after that tough loss yesterday to Minneapolis. They now won 5 of their last 6, if you want to look at this the most positive way you can. They're now heading off to a 4-game West Coast road trip with Midwest road trip with a couple of tough teams. They're playing Minnesota once again in their first game of the 4-game road trip. They finish off against Oklahoma City, but they do have the Pacers and Chicago in the middle here. So we're hoping for a 2-2 here. Anything less would be disappointing. Anything better than that would be a great achievement here. So they have 2 teams with losing records, 2 teams with winning records, all on the road in cold conditions, obviously just for travel purposes here. Now time for our accolades for this game here. Norm Powell, simply amazing. We mentioned 9 for 12 from downtown, a career high in 3-pointers made in a game, finished with 34 points. Davion Mitchell really helped set the tone early with those 3-pointers, and then was just, picking his spots in terms of where to pass the ball and move the ball. He was more of a ball mover there than a scorer. And then Nico, I'm going to give him his flowers here, especially in that first quarter. Came out like a bat out of heck here. Really was attacking the rim, got a few early layups and made a 3-pointer or 2 and got to the free throw line. After that, he went back to his old ways of missing a lot of really ugly shots, but the tone was set. And then once he slowed down, Pelle Larsson just picked up the slack. So between those two, they really did pick up the slack here for the missing Jaime Jaquez here. Bam struggled, like I said, but he did make an imprint, especially when the team had their biggest run in that third period. And we mentioned it before, Ware is not perfect, but when he runs, you have to reward the big man so he doesn't check out. And I'm watching these games, and he's running hard to the front of the rim quite often, almost every time there's an opportunity here, and they're not throwing the ball up to him. So that's a little disappointing. That's on the guards. Yakachonis missed him a lot. Drew Smith missed him a lot, stuff like that. Pelle Larsson seems to be like the only guy who's really looking ahead to pass it to Ware. So those guys really should be on the floor together as often as possible. All right, we're going to try and break down a couple of our favorite highlights for tonight's game here. Let's see how it goes. The first time I'm trying to break down and putting some video into one of these shows, so we'll see how it goes. Let's break into our first play here. All right, this one is one where they did not hit Kel'El Ware. So I'm going to pause it real quick here. All right, so this starts off as a steal from Yakachonis as they tip it, and you see Ware is in the front. Actually, I'm going to rewind this real quick because I want to show you how Ware even started this play. All right, here we go. All right, so you got Ware is trailing the entire defense as there was some sort of turnover or long rebound, right? He's the back man here. But look at him hustle to get in front of the ball. This is what I'm talking about. He's got motor issues to a point, but I think he's really worked through it. All right, he's behind everybody. He sprints to get in front of the ball here. He levels off the ball here. There's a pass which is stolen from the back line. That's all fine and good. So, I mean, he already ran back from the last guy back to level off the ball. On the turnover, he sees it. He's the first one. He takes off. Watch right here at half court. He is now behind everybody, as that's either Misi or Queen is the last line of defense who is leveling off and not going back. There's a little man behind him here. I'm not sure who that is, if that's Fear or Alvarado right there. It's a little blurry. But you see Ware is easily going to be behind everybody by the time he gets to the three-point line, if not near the free throw line. Yakachonis has the ball right under the H for the Heat at the midcourt. And instead of looking ahead to Ware, who's obviously going to be behind everybody by the time the ball would land, he throws it over to, I believe that's Davion Mitchell on the left wing. And then or is that maybe Gardner? I'm not sure that might be Gardner. I'm not sure who that is right there. I think that's Gardner. So even Gardner should get the ball. This should be a quick touch pass to Ware. Now Ware's behind everybody as number 0 there is going to peel off to the left wing, which means Ware is all by himself. First, Yakachonis should have thrown it. He would have caught it at the between the 3-point line and free throw line. And then once Gardner got it, should have been a touch pass where he would have caught it between the free throw line and the rim with nobody there. Look at this. He's behind everybody. All you got to do is lob it up to him, and they don't do it here. They right here again. Look at that. He's behind everybody. Just lob it up to him. It doesn't need to be a perfect pass. They don't do it. We don't get to see the rest of this play because the highlight is really from the steal on the back end here. But I just want to show you how wide open he is, and they didn't get them here. We actually had a jack-up three-pointer on that phase. All right, getting on to our next part of the play here. This is our third quarter. We're up by 12 at the moment. Already starting part of our 1 to 2 point run here. They have a lob in somewhere to the back line here, and Bam knocks it away, gets it out to Norman Powell, who dribbles the whole way. Now watch this dribble move he has. Crossover, snap back behind him. Oh, steps back, three-pointer. That was a skip to my Lou, a 3-dribble move. I love that so much. It starts with a hard crossover, a skipping behind the back cross to his left hand, whoosh, and then a snapback right there. So pretty. Makes it, gets it to a 15-point lead, the largest lead at the time. That was a fun play right here. And now we're moving along to the fourth quarter. This is what I'm talking about. I'm going to pause it real quick. We had a tip out. The ball's out to Pelle Larsson on the lower Heat logo there on the right side of the board. Look how low Ware is. He's even with the ball. And this is what I'm talking about. Ware does run. Look, he's taken off. He's got the big strides. It doesn't look like he's running, but look, he goes right to the front of the rim, and Pelle Larsson throws it right to him. We mentioned that in the recap here. He wasn't open, but he recognized that he had the smaller Alvarado on him here. You've got to reward the big man. I'm going to pause it real quick. Right now, it's about a 3-on-4. We don't even have numbers right here, but Wiggins runs off the man to the left corner, which makes number 3 there have to follow him out, which means Alvarado is the deep man. You've got a 7-1 guy against a 5-10 guy. Larsson recognizes it, doesn't even wait to see what position he gets, just says, you're the biggest guy here against the smallest guy. I'm going to lob it to you. Look at this right here. And he fights for a little bit, makes a little bit of a goofy shot, but nonetheless, the recognition by Pelle Larsson is what I love there. And here we go again. This is a missed layup and a crash. And now we're on a fast break. Again, the ball gets sprayed out over to Larsson on the left wing here. That was a double back and forth. So Ware didn't make it back into the play yet. So he's under the basket, hitting his dunker spot. Bam, easy to go. Larsson is dribbling, trying to determine what the defense is going to do. Here we go. It's a little bit of a mess up here. So we've got numbers here. Larsson just goes to make that defender, I believe that was Misi, have to recognize what he's going to do. What he's going to do right there. And when he sees the defender draw up or he sees the mismatch behind, he's looking for Ware. Ware had 12 points in the fourth quarter there. And Ware's not a player who can do it by himself. He's like a wide receiver or a tight end. You need the quarterback to make the pass here. And unfortunately for the Heat, we don't have a lot of quarterbacks. And Pelle Larsson has proven once and again that he is one of those quarterbacks, especially in transition. And that's why I said I love Pelle Larsson so much. All right, guys, I hope you like the highlight package. First time I tried to put together, took a little bit of time, and I'll try and get better at it as we go. I want to thank you all so much for joining me for another edition of Miami Heat Basketball Beat. Luckily, we're breaking down a Heat victory. All right with that. Hey, guys, do me the favor. If you like what you see here, if you want us to keep growing and even get a little better and more polished here, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know we get our next videos out there. We're going to try and do post-game reactions to most of these games throughout the week here. Of course, our weekdays are a little more difficult to do just that. All right, guys, with that being said, may your coach's challenges be successful. May you please make your free throws. We will see you next time. Pardon me. There we go. See you guys next time.